Hi, Derek Briggs here, Product Manager for Tsugami REM Sales. Today we're going to go over, on the S206 machine, changing over from Swiss mode to chucker mode, or guide bushing less is what a lot of people like to call it as well. So what you're going to need in order to do this project is going to be a rubber mallet, a pair of dikes, a 5mm T-handle Allen wrench, a 4mm T-handle Allen wrench, a Phillips head screwdriver, a couple of wire ties, and your actual chucker kit itself, which comes with the ring, a couple of a union and a couple of caps for the air, and your mounting screws. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So step number one is going to be to remove your bar stock from the machine. So if you have a bar feed installed, go ahead and take your bar out of the main spindle and completely out of the bar feed if necessary. The next step is going to be to over travel your Z-axis, your Z1, as far towards the bar feeder as possible. So we're going to go to our handle mode, Z1. I'm going to turn my multiplier as high up as I can get it, and I'm going to handle my Z1 safely back until I get an over travel alarm. Then I'm going to hit the reset button, get rid of that alarm. I'm going to press my custom graphs hard key. That brings me to the home screen in the custom page. I'm going to press the menu soft key. That's going to bring up some options here. I want to be in that operator's panel, so I'm going to press the OPR soft key. And now I have some more options. And these are just settings, all the different kinds of settings you can have your machine in. So right now we're in rotary and direct rotary guide bushing mode. We're going to want to turn everything off. So make sure you're in handle mode, and you're going to turn off rotary with the left arrow key, or you can press the off soft key. As you can see, when I turned off rotary, direct rotary automatically turned off with it. This is what we want to see before we go any further. Everything is in the off state. We're going to go ahead and press the E-stop button. And we're going to power the machine down completely and turn off the air pressure. And so the next step after powering the machine down and turning the air off is going to be to disconnect the electrical cables from the machine to the guide bushing motor itself. So you have two electrical connections here. You have 4 Phillips head screws here that actually tuck these wires away. We're going to need to remove that cover plate and take the cables out. And then we're going to remove these 2 screws up here. And that's going to allow us to take this whole box and everything with the whole guide bushing motor right out of the machine. So we're going to go ahead and remove this oil mist line here, the clear line. The black line is the air line. We're going to go ahead and remove that. It's the air purge. We're going to remove these 2 spindle chilling lines. We're going to take these 2 and we're going to actually connect them together with a coupling so we can complete that spindle cooling system. Once all that is removed, we can remove the 6 socket head cap screws from the face of this guide bushing motor, and we can slide this whole motor out along with the electrical cables and the electrical box. Everything will come out together in one piece. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect the 4 screws, or we're going to loosen up the 4 screws on this plate here so we can remove the cables and the hoses from this actual electrical box, because this is going to come out with the guide bushing motor itself. So we're going to take these screws out. We're going to remove our cables and our hoses. And I just tuck them right underneath here, like so. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and disconnect our electrical connections. Make sure the machine power is off when you do this. Now, no fear, when you go to reinstall the guide bushing motor, there's a big difference between these 2 cables. One is a 4-pin, and one has a lot more than 4 pins. So, should not be an issue. You cannot put the connections in the wrong places. Makes it very simple. So now when you look at these 2 cables, you have 4-pin and a lot more than 4 pins. What I do is I take these caps. They come already attached on there. Very convenient. Cover up your connections just to keep any kind of contaminants from getting into the electrical connection for the guide bushing motor. And you can zip tie these back in the cabinet back here, or you can just set them down, tuck them behind these wires right down there in the back of the cabinet. Now, the box itself also has caps on it. You can go ahead and screw these caps on. box as well. Has a cap. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take these 2 screws out. And that'll allow us to remove that entire box. I got the whole box off. We can just go ahead and set that down in front here, and we can move on to the next step. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to put on these little connectors here over these lines that we're going to disconnect right here, and also your spindle cooling lines down underneath. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect our mist. We're going to put a plug right on there, set that one aside. We're going to disconnect our air line. We're going to put a plug on that. We're going to set that aside. We're going to go ahead and disconnect our spindle cooling lines down at the bottom. There's one. We're going to put our connector on it. And we're going to disconnect the next one. Okay. Now we're going to connect these 2. So now both those lines are connected. And we're going to put that aside. The next step is your 6 socket head cap screws. We're going to take those out. That's where your T handle comes into good hands here. Okay, so we have all of our screws out. Oh, all 6 screws. Take those out. Now, this whole guide bushing motor will slide out the back. I'm going to go around to the front in the cutting zone, and I'm just going to give this a little tap with the rubber mallet to get it started to come out. This is a very tight fit. So you can see, it started coming out, no problem at all. I have the whole guide bushing motor, and you want to be careful as you pull out the entire guide bushing assembly in one piece. Make sure when you remove the guide bushing motor itself that you do not touch anything or drop anything on the linear guides or the ball screw below the main spindle. So now we're going to go ahead and load in the actual chucker kit itself. What I do want to point out is you will see on here there is 2 rectangles on either side, and then one oval shape. This oval shape, you want that to go in the 6 o'clock position. This is the oil drain hole, okay? This is for weight reduction. This is just for oil drain hole, okay? So you always want the ovular location to go at 6 o'clock. So now, what you're gonna do is you are going to carefully, now this is a very slip fit here to the casting itself, so you're going to be careful, and if it doesn't go in smoothly, that's fine. Just go ahead and tap it back out with the rubber mallet very carefully, and then go ahead and give it another try. But you never want to hit this in with a hammer. Once it goes in, it'll go in very nicely, just like that. And you'll see it's bottomed out. Okay, we have our oval in the 6 o'clock position. we're all set. And now it comes also with brand new screws, and these are button head screws. Do not attempt to use the same socket head cap screws. As you can see, the difference in length is much different. So you cannot use the socket head cap screws that came with the guide bushing. You want to use the new screws that come with your chucker kit included in the kit. So we're going to put these 6 screws in. Just want to get them started. What I like to do is once I get them all just barely snugged up, I'm going to go ahead and tighten those down in a star pattern. Just kind of try to make that seat a little bit as evenly as possible. Okay, last one. Okay, so now I'm going to tighten this top one. I'll go down to the bottom, kind of do a star pattern here. Okay. All right. Last one. Okay. So we're all set. Now we'll go back to the control. Now that we have the chucker kit put in, we're ready to turn on the settings inside the machine. So I've turned on the main breaker, I've turned my air pressure back on, and I've turned the power to the control back on. So I'm going to release my emergency stop. And this is my startup screen here. If you're not already on this screen, you would press the custom button here, and that will bring you to this screen as well. So I want to go ahead and push the menu button. I want to be in that operator's panel again. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm changing my stroke limit on my Z1 axis. Now that I'm in chucker mode, I need to reduce my stroke length significantly for rigidity purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my guide bushing less. Okay, so I'm going to go down, arrow down here, and I'm going to turn that on with this arrow key, or you can press the on key. Okay, so you can see automatically when I turn on guide bushing less, chuck change mode also turned on. That's a standard protocol that always happens. It's not a big deal. So chuck change mode allows you to back up your Z1 axis all the way to home position so you can change your main spindle collet. So now I'm going to handle my Z1 axis as far forward as I can until I get an over travel alarm. So I'm going to go to handle, Z1, and turn my multiplier up, and I'm going to handle until I get an alarm. See a Z plus over travel. Now as you can see, our main spindle has not even come close to making it through the chucker kit yet. And that's okay. Basically that's because we're in chuck change mode right now, and it gives you a little bit different stroke limits here. So all this chuck change mode is used to do is give you some access to the main spindle collet nut so you can break that loose and you can change out your collet or do some cleaning or preventative maintenance. So we handled all the way forward. We're going to go back to our custom screen. We're going to turn off chuck change mode. I'm going to press reset. As you can see, the alarm does not reset, but that's okay. It's going to allow you to handle that Z1 axis all the way forward. Now you can go all the way forward until you see that main spindle collet get into the chucker kit itself. Then you can reset your alarm. As you can see, no more alarms. And my main spindle collet has made it into the chucker area. The only thing I want on when I'm in the machining mode is going to be guide bushing less mode or chucker mode. Everything else should be off, okay? If I want to change my main spindle collet, I would back up my Z1 to over travel. You see the Z minus, go into my custom screen. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on chuck change mode. You see the cycle start button flashing? It always flashes when chuck change mode is on. Just a reminder that you can't do anything else in MDI while chuck change mode is on. I'm gonna handle, we hit the reset button, I'm gonna handle my Z1 axis back into an area where I can go ahead and change my main spindle collet. I'm going to turn it back off. Sorry, turn it on. Move it forward to over travel. We're going to turn it back off. And we're going to handle our Z1 axis back into the chucker area. And I'm going to reset my alarm. That's it. We're all set with chucker mode. If you have a 32mm Tsugami machine and you're doing this same procedure, you would then need to also change your axial shift on your bar feeder. If you do not have axial shift on your bar feeder, please give Rim Sales a call or visit our website at www.rimsales.com, and we can walk you through how to do this if you don't have an axial shift bar feeder with a 32mm model. That's all we have for today on changing over from guide bushing to chucker mode on our Tsugami S206 Mark II machine. If you have any further questions for any other models or for this model changing over from chucker to guide bushing mode or guide bushing mode back to chucker, please visit us at www.rimsales.com for any questions you may have. Thank you very much for your time.